Friday, Fortaleza. It's a pretty big day, and I got mixed feelings about it. Expecting somebody to jump out at you at any moment, which they did. Started off, I wanted to do the Three Praia beach tour. It's an organised excursion. I'm not a huge fan of in general, as in doing lots of things organised over a protracted period. But I do like on the trips to have pick and choose the odd one, which is going to take in a few sites in a short amount of time with a guide on it. So it's always a good option to have in the back pocket. And I honed in on this one. There's a few choice spots, which they generally are. Cost 70 real, £12, $12, or I thought it was. Rebecca paid the 50 up front. Told me that they told her that I'd have to pay the 20 when I turned up. Of course, when I turned up, it was 25. So no great surprises there. Didn't get off to a good start. The bus was an hour late. So I was at the pickup point 10 minutes early, like every good Marine. 5 minutes before, 5 minutes before. No sign of it. Of course, worrying a little bit when it's 20 minutes gone. Getting on the phone to Rebecca saying, am I in the right place? The timing's right. Have I missed it? What's going on? She got in touch with them. No, it is coming. It'll be there in a minute. An hour later, it finally turned up. And I got the impression that this wasn't a one-off by the way they acted when they got there. No apologies. Just shouted at me to hurry up and get a move on and get on the bus, when it was them who was an hour late. Got on and the bus was packed. My own fault, really. It was a Friday, so everybody on earth knows that any organised event or any tourist spot is going to be oversubscribed on a weekend. It's not as if I'm a stranger to being sat on a packed bus. Made a living out of it in the Marines with loads of kit, sat next to big, hairy, sweaty Marines. Doesn't mean because I've done it so much I enjoy it. Naughty boys at the back, got a nice seat towards the back. Got a window seat as well. Thought, oh, well, it's going to be a coastal journey. So I can look out the window, get some nice views, take it in. It's about an hour, just over an hour drive till we got to the first spot. Was promptly scorned when I opened the curtain to look out the window by everyone else on the bus, because apparently they're all vampires and scared of the sunlight. So that was the end of that. I had to pull the curtain shut. And is even more of a bad mood. As predicted, nobody spoke English. The guy that picked me up approached me once I was on the bus, inquiring as such, and then asked if I spoke Spanish. I said, un poco, a little bit. At which point then he kept on talking to me in Portuguese, throwing the odd Spanish word in. Asking where I was from, and as most people out here, when I said Wales, I didn't have a clue what that was, where it was. I tried to say it in their own language. Pays de Gales, Pay de Gales, in as many different forms as I could, still not getting it. So I resorted to the good old universal language of football and said to him, yeah, you like football? Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey, famous Welsh footballers. Dragon. And they knew whether they knew where Wales was and exactly what it was, I don't know. But they knew about Gareth Bale, and they could make the association between them and me. The bus ride, I did get a little peek through the curtains as much as I could. It turns out it wasn't that coastal, it was near the coast. Couldn't see anything. Apart from some massive sand dunes, which weren't near to the road. They were literally coming down and touching the road, which is quite a nice sight. And the bus ride was horrendous. The roads out here aren't that bad. I've been in cars and Ubers and walked around them, and they're all right. Tarmacked on the main routes, but the bus ride, it just every few seconds, he's either slamming down hard or throwing you into the air, which can only be the bus. It's been ragged, shot to bits, the suspension shot, just winding me up even more. Bit of a drama queen here and a diva, but yeah, it wasn't very pleasant. The mood wasn't getting any better. I thought we're going to get to the first stop now. We're going to get out of this bus, crack on and start getting on with the day, the activities and the adventure. And it just, not even 20 odd minutes from leaving, we pulled into this souvenir market at the side of a road. It wasn't even a town. It was just at the side of a road. The bus tour company are obviously got in cahoots with some kind of deal. They must get a free carved wooden carved statue out of it or something. I just had no interest in it. There's obviously reason people do get interest in that, otherwise it wouldn't stop there at all. And that's the theme of this review or dialogue, guys. A lot of the stuff I'm saying weren't interesting to me and I'm sort of moaning about a little bit. Don't take as me saying they're not worthwhile doing. Everyone's different, everyone's got their own interests. It's just my point of view and what I found about it. There's a lot of things that would interest a lot of people. I mean, it was mildly interesting to see the locals in this little store, but I was in a bad mood anyway and I just wanted to get on with it. We then got to our destination, which confused me even more. It wasn't a beach. In my mind, we were going to stop at a beach area. They were going to let us off the bus, give us an array of options that we could do, or you could just wander around and chill out, do your own thing, and then they'd give us a time to get back on the bus to go to the next stop. That's what I envisioned this trip was going to be in my mind. That wasn't the case. It was completely different to what I expected. We turned up at this side of a road and it was a shack. We got herded in there. Guy with a mop handle, broom handle in his hand was shouting and barking orders at us. Again, almost as if he was telling us off, giving us a dressing down whilst pointing to these pictures on a board behind him, which were obviously various activities with pictures of them. And then I had guys just coming up to me going, buggy, buggy, buggy. And I knew that this buggy tour was part of the options offered on this excursion. What I didn't know was that it was compulsory. Because as it turned out, it was either get on one of these buggy rides or get back on the bus. And they just drive you to the next stop that the buggies are going to drive to. There seemed to be no other alternative option. And like I said, I thought we were just going to get a bit of free time. So I had no other choice. I had to pay them. And there was two options. One was 100 real, one was 160. I don't know what the difference was. They told me that the 161 was better, of course. So I just went for that, just to be safe. Luckily, there was a young 17-year-old lad from Rio with his sister and his mother and father. His father was former military, Brazilian infantry. So that was good. We had some common ground. And he spoke English. She approached me, asked me where I'm from. We went through the old Gareth Bale Drago thing again, which I now knew was a surefire way to get through to them. He was a really lovely family, really nice lad. And he wanted to help me, of course, but he wanted to practice his English as well. So it was perfect. And they then adopted me as the poor lost gringo who needed a bit of local help. And it was gratefully received by me. So he came along, explained a few things in a bit more detail, signed up for the buggy ride, and conveniently then the tour guides paired me up with this family to go on the buggy ride. So that was a stroke of luck. We headed out from this little pit stop area on the buggies through the roads in the town, a little bit of a village, into the sand dunes. Not wrong, we didn't. We stopped at a place called Morro Branco. Stopped there and I was still none the wiser to what was going on, apart from the fact that people wanted money off me and the tour guides were pushing me towards these people who wanted money off me. So the young lad from the family, again, tagged along. He was getting quite concerned about me putting some sun cream on, so they very kindly gave me some Factor 50 to slap on. And I was getting a bit concerned about it as well, to be honest with you, because I knew we had a walk through some eroded rock and it was going to be very exposed. So in the back of my mind was I'm just going to get burnt. I did have some Factor 30 on me. I went for the Factor 50. And it's a bit disconcerting because the tour guide, who's Brazilian of course, even said to the other Brazilians not from here, stop moaning about the sun, you're in Ceará. It's part of the package, which is the province. We posted a couple of pictures at a nice vantage point with a sign, and then we set off on a walk through like this really vivid, coloured, eroded rock valley, gully, reminding me a bit like ambush country in Afghanistan. You're sort of walking through, looking at these high features, walls around you, expecting somebody to jump out at you at any moment, which they did, with gizzards to sell. So we weren't even safe in this little remote area. They just started popping up trying to sell us little carved wooden sailing boats. And I just accepted that this was just one big day of people trying to blag selling me things. Stopped for a couple of photos, still chatting away with, I just can't pronounce his name. It's Rene, something like that. I got a video of him. He'll explain how to pronounce his name. Hi guys, so we are at Canoa Quebrada. I think I've said that right. I'd like to introduce you to my saviors for the day. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Renan from Brazil. And she's my sister.
So on the 3 beach tour, is that what it's called? 3 Praia. It's a tour with a load of beaches, which is an organised excursion. And I came on my own, and these guys saved me because I was absolutely out of my depth. I got off the bus into this showroom of a guy pointing a broomstick at the wall, people trying to get money off me, trying to get me to sign up to something. And when I say nobody spoke English, I mean nobody spoke English apart from these guys. So they've taken me under their wing. They've looked after me and shown me around. So yeah, what have we done today?
We went on boogie riding and we stopped to take a lot of pictures, the fountain beaches, the cave beach, and now we are working canoe, chilling out too, and then next year we are going to another travel.
And I'm getting sunburnt all day long as per usual. But yeah, it's been a pretty good day, and we're going to crack on from here. Cheers. We'll call him R from now on. So I'm having a chat with R, I'm catching up, telling me about his father's military service. The rest of the family, his sister spoke a little bit of English. The parents didn't. Yeah, he was just a really positive, happy, helpful young lad. It was great that he was practicing his English and he was getting something from it as well. So it was great. Made our way down through the gully. There was some water running through it as well. People were putting their handprints on the walls, a bit like Castaway when Wilson, Tom Hanks, I can't remember the character's name, he puts the handprint, blood in that case, on the ball. These were all over the walls on there. Got through ambush country safely, and then we RV'd, rendezvoused with all the buggies just on a open patch of the beach. All of the engines roaring, music pumping from the loudspeakers, and the smell was taking me back to, it was a mixture between go-karting as a youngster, that smell of the go-karts when they sat idling in the pit stop in the start area, and a little bit like aviation fuel and the all-terrain vehicles that we use in the desert in Iraq and Afghanistan and Oman, places like that. So these smells were getting me all nostalgic for places I'd been to in the past. We then tore off on the buggies across the beach. Family were loving it. They were whooping, wailing, up on the top. I was sat in the seat next to the driver, first of all. It was okay. I wasn't a big fan of the tow up to this point. And the buggy ride was good. It was nice. Wind tearing across the beach, all the other buggies overtaking each other. I have to sort of temper myself and come to the realization with situations like this that maybe I've become desensitized to a lot of things in life, because I've jumped out of aeroplanes. I've fast roped from helicopters, been shot at. I've had explosions go off quite close to me. I've shot at people. I've torn across all sorts of terrain in desert vehicles. I've jumped in the ice in the Arctic. I've driven Humvees through the streets of Baghdad. So I've done a lot of high adrenaline stuff in life. So I've just got to keep in the back of my mind when I'm saying, yeah, it was all right. For other people, it was probably exhilarating. So I have to just convince myself that it probably was. And I probably have been desensitized to a lot of thrills because I've been through so much in life. It's just a reality that I have to come to terms with and just try and enjoy it as much as I can. But it was good, yeah, enjoyed it. Got a certain amount of distance along the beach, and then we stopped at a little photo opportunity place. It's 2 fountains. It was just like a drain pipe coming off the top of a rock, which took it onto the beach. One was called the Fountain of Youth. Could be up to debate whether I need to bathe in that, or a lot of people out here, when I ask them how old they think I am, I'm knocking 10 years off my age. Probably being polite. Anyway, I did bathe in it, just out of interest. And then the next one was the Fountain of Hair. Something along those lines, where if you were bald, you bathe in it and your hair grows back. And I'm prepared to get back in the buggies. It's ambushed again, but this time in a good way. I hadn't really eaten. That morning was early start. It was up at 6 to go and catch the bus. Didn't have time to have breakfast because I wanted to get there early, and then I was stood around for an hour waiting for them. So I hadn't eaten up until this point. And it was you just one of those countries where things just appear from nowhere. And it did. There was a barbecue, open barbecue on the beach. Guy grilling the meat. I think £9 real for a skewer, which absolute bargain. Straight in there, ordered one, got it, and devoured it before we got back on the buggy. Bagged myself a little beach barbecue. We had chicken, pork, or beef. And seeing as it's cooked with a bloke on the beach with dirty hands, I went for beef, which is probably the less chance of getting extreme food poisoning from. So happy days. Big banging, actually. Next up on the tour was a huge sand dune overlooking a beautiful freshwater lake. Now the lake, Lagoa, I was told was the largest freshwater lake in Ceará. The driver put his foot down for this. He really booted it up through the sand dunes. So it brought the thrill levels up a notch. Family were loving it. And then we crested, got to the top of it. And yeah, it was just a fantastic view of this lake. And looking down, you could see a couple of restaurants just on the lake shore down below. We had a couple of photos there and then took off in the buggies to go to these restaurants. So a nice little ride around through the streets and then turned down towards the restaurant just by the lake shore. Had a nice swing on the edge of it, and I took the opportunity to strip off and have a little dip in the lake, which yeah, was refreshing. And like I said, being a freshwater lake, it's nice, not salty and sandy water. Tour guide annoyed me again at this point. They said you can order food and get a drink. So I ordered some food, still hungry, but only having the beef skewer. And no sooner had it arrived, I heard him bark an order at R, the young lad in Portuguese, to tell to me. It's just saying, can you tell him to eat up quick? So I was a bit annoyed by that. I was under the impression this was just going to be a nice leisurely tour. And up until this point, everything was just forced. It was do this, do that. And there was no two ways about it. My annoyance levels are pretty high at this point. Good job I had a little dip, refreshing dip in the lake to calm me down. Chicken and chips, which was it fries? It was chicken, yeah, chicken and fries. It was awful, is all I gotta say about that. So it was a very bad experience at this point. Next stop was Canoa Quebrada, and everyone be raving about this place. So I thought, oh, happy days. Beach, with a little village there as well. We got there, and sorry to sound like such a downer on this, but I was completely underwhelmed by this stop as well. There was just a big, huge restaurant right on the edge of a very small rocky beach with a sign saying Canoa Quebrada that everyone was queuing up to get a photo with, and that was it. Apart from, obviously, a couple of market stalls trying to sell stuff. So at this point, I'm done with this tour. What I didn't know was we still had an epic bus ride to get back to the city. So we loaded up on the bus, ready for the journey back. Bumpy, overcrowded, annoying. Of course, getting tired by this point as well. And I was pretty fed up because apart from the buggy ride, the day was a bit of a washout. It just wasn't anything to write home about. To add insult to injury, there was 3.5 hours drive to get back to the city. I just sat on a bus. Although it was interrupted by a stop at some sort of sweet store. It was just a place by the side of the road where they make loads of sweets from the area, and that was it. So we just wasted even more time stopping there to look at some sweets before getting back on the bus and getting back to the city. So I've got to be honest, my verdict of the day. Now, I don't want to sound too downbeat, but I'm doing these and I'm being honest as well, so everyone can see the full view. There's no point me just being overly positive about every single little thing if it wasn't a positive experience for me. As I've said earlier, you've got to take that with, it's just me and what I got from it. And the circumstances, the bus was late, the bus was packed. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So maybe if I had more of an awareness of what it was actually going to be, I could have managed my expectations a bit more. But I'm just going to give it to you honest. Was it worth it? No. In overall, buggy ride was good. It was interesting to see some of the sights, but in overall, for the amount of travel, being harassed with people selling you, it just wasn't very enjoyable or relaxing. And it was just quick hits on a few sites that, I'll be honest with you again, weren't really that spectacular. Maybe if it'd been what I thought, where they're going to take you places, give you some advice, I'll let you go and explore, I'd have enjoyed it a bit more. It just seemed very forced, very one-dimensional, very unpolite, and really not my cup of tea. So I'm glad I did it because it's an experience, of course, but I wouldn't do it again. And I'd advise, if you come in here, just to manage your expectations if you are going to go and do it, and what you are going to get from it, and whether you think it's worth it or not. And I'll tell you what else is annoying me today, is this camera, the phone. I think it's the watch. Every now and again I look at it to check on the view and it's zoomed all the way out. First world problems. The camera keeps zooming out when he's in a beautiful paradise tropical beach location. Is this guy ever happy with anything? Got back to the city. Girls told me they wanted to do karaoke, so Rebecca's cousin, who I went out for dinner with the guys, with Deborah and João Pedro. We told her that we'd been to karaoke on Wednesday, she wanted to go. So rounded up the family again, full crowd, and we all headed out to a different karaoke bar. This one was a lot better, looked a lot. Bull's Beer Bar was great. It was great. It's a craft beer bar. I had good vibe there. This one, they had a bit of a better karaoke setup, a little bit more professional, although in both places they're just using YouTube Premium, so you don't have to watch the adverts for the karaoke videos, which, to be honest with you, I might weigh up the costs of it when I get back for when I do it in Copper Bar, because the software that I have a lot of time doesn't have all of the songs. YouTube's got anything in the world, part 2. So I might have to look into that myself when I get back. But yeah, they had jumped up. So in Bulls, somebody beat me to the Killers. So not to be deterred this time, I got in there, sharpish, got in, got my name down for the Killers, and got up and smashed it out. They had smoke going off. It was like being in a right flanking attack in the Royal Marines, with smoke grenades going off, lights flashing like machine gun fire.
Coming out of my cage and I'll be doing just fine. Gotta be down, so I want it all. Started out with a kiss, started it end up like this. It was only a kiss, it was only a kiss. I'm falling asleep and she's calling a cab. Mommy's having smoke and she's taking a drag. Now we're going to bed, now my stomach is sick and it's all in my head, but she's touching his chest. Now he takes off her breast. Now let me go. I just can't look, it's killing me, and it's taking control. Jealousy turning saints into the sea, swimming through sick lullaby, joking on your alibi, but it's just the price of pain. Destiny is calling me. Open up my eager eyes, 'cause I miss the bright side.
So yeah, it was a good experience. All the guys up dancing, loving it. And then got to watch everyone else, not just our group, all the other people in the bar getting up and cracking on with the karaoke.
Friends that I go to, distancing
I'm gonna have to wrap it up there because I'm gonna get stranded. The tide is coming in rapidly. At least it's not a Brazilian bloke ranting at me about parking my car somewhere. Made me feel a bit guilty. These guys with little trowels in their hands just looking at me as I'm trying to step around it, but he couldn't really.
Don't believe it, just watch.